Hello and welcome back to another video. As you can tell by the title, it has been 1 year since I bought my Fujifilm GFX 50S and the Mitakon 65mm 1.4. And over this past year, I have made quite a few videos about this setup and taken countless photos that I absolutely love. And since it has been a year, I thought I would share my thoughts on the setup after owning it for a year and answering some questions that you guys have asked me on my Instagram. I'll first start off with the questions that you guys asked me, and then I'll go on to my final thoughts of owning the Fujifilm GFX 50S and the Mitakon 65mm 1.4 after 1 year. And the first question is it easy to break like others are saying? And I'm assuming that you're talking about the Mitakon, since I don't think I've heard anyone say that the GFX is easy to break. I'm not sure how to answer this question because personally I haven't had any issues with the Mitakon whatsoever, but I know a few people that have. To be fair, I've had one problem with the Mitakon, and that was very recent. And that was the metal part of the lens mount was a bit shaky because the screws were coming loose. But it was really easy to fix. All I had to do was tighten the screws back up and it was like new again. And while yes, that isn't exactly great for a lens to do that, other than that, I haven't experienced any issues whatsoever. Touch wood. And the second question is, do I have any tips on composing to get a compelling medium format look with your images? And to be honest, I do struggle with this sometimes. I've gotten pretty comfortable with getting that look down quite well, but every now and again my brain will just go blank and I won't know what to do. I'd say that a good way to almost guarantee this look is to try and fill the frame as much as possible with your subject and then find a background that has a lot of layers. Thanks to the compression and the shallow depth of field, the layers become very flattering and exaggerate that look even more, and if you nail focus then it all comes together really well. And when I say layers, I don't necessarily mean individual objects as layers. I mean a background that doesn't come to a stop after a few feet. So don't shoot a few feet in front of a wall. For instance, this photo doesn't necessarily have any layers, but the background goes on for quite a while, so it creates its own layers within the image. I guess what I mean by layers is just have a long background. But layers do help, that always helps exaggerate any sort of shallow depth of field look anyway. The third question is, how do I nail focus with the Mitakon? This question has a really simple answer, which is focus peaking. If it wasn't for focus peaking, I would struggle so much with this lens. So yeah, go into your Fuji menus, find focus peaking and turn it on. You will then see in your viewfinder or on your screen that anywhere that's in focus has a bunch of red lines all over it. Or any colour that you set it to. Most people go red because it is the most easy to see. Thankfully, Fuji have done an amazing job with manual focusing assistance features, and the focus peaking on Fuji cameras is better than any other manual focus assistance feature that I have seen in any other camera. The fourth question is, how do you edit your GFX photos, and do you use any film simulations? To answer if I use any film simulations, no I don't. I tried using some film simulations when I first got the GFX, but I found that shooting JPEG sort of defeated the purpose of having a camera with such high dynamic range. So pretty much all of the photos that I've taken on the GFX have been raw and have very little editing done to them. I like my images to look very natural, and I don't want to go overboard with colours or have any crazy exposure shifts. I like to keep things as simple as possible and do some minor tweaks to my images. Most of the time I will keep within a range of plus or minus 20 on all the different exposure sliders, and then on my colour balance thing, my vibrance, I usually put to about +5 to +10. And that's really it. I may boost the blacks in the levels every now and again, but for the most part all I do is tweak the sliders and then add some vibrance to the image. To be fair, I may also add some warmth to my images just to make those skin tones a bit more flattering. I also add a bit of sharpening, but like not much whatsoever, maybe just like +10. Other than that, I don't really do much more editing most of the time. There are photos every now and again where I do need to do a bit more editing, but for the most part, I keep it very simple. I like to try and get things as good as possible in camera, so I then don't have to edit a mediocre photo to make it look okay. And the fifth and final question is, if I didn't have the Mitakon, what lens would I have on the GFX? The lens I would use is this one here. It's the Mamiya Sekor C 45mm f2.8. I recently picked this lens up in mint condition for a really good price. So far, I don't really have many photos to show with this lens, as the adapter that I did have ended up scratching the metal on the lens mount, and then also it ended up not actually clicking into place on the GFX itself. So when you would focus, the lens adapter would come loose and fall off the camera. But gladly, I was able to return the adapter and get a refund. And then after that, I asked Josh Shanks what adapter he uses, because he also has the GFX and he also has the 45mm f2.8. If you don't know Josh Shanks, just search up like Mamiya and GFX and he will be the first like couple results. He makes YouTube videos and he also just takes photos, so go check him out. He's pretty much the reason that I got this lens, because I wanted a cheaper alternative to the Fuji 45mm f2.8, but I got this and it works perfectly, and for like less than half the price. But anyway, the adapter that he recommended was the Photo Deox adapter, and I bought it about a week ago and it just arrived a few hours ago when I was out. So I've now got it adapted to the GFX. It is very stable and doesn't move, so I'm very glad about that. And I'm very much looking forward to taking photos with this lens in the future, especially with this giant lens hood. It's a bit ridiculous. It looks so stupid. But anyway, I've always loved the 35mm focal length, and because this is a 45mm on the GFX, it ends up being a 35mm equivalent. And I'm pretty sure I also mentioned that I wanted the 45mm f2.8 Fuji lens in a video before, but that's just way out of my price range. It's like over $1,000 and I don't really want to be spending that much money. I got this lens in mint condition and the adapter for less than half the price of the other lens, and all I'm missing is autofocus. But anyway, you can expect some videos about that lens in the future, because I will be shooting with it non-stop for the next few weeks. Anyway, now that the questions are done, I think it's a good time to share my thoughts about the Fujifilm GFX 50S and the Mitakon 65mm 1.4 after owning them for over a year. I've used this setup for 90% of my work in the past year, and I've taken many photos, and I can honestly say that this is my favourite combo of camera and lens that I have ever used. It's very quickly risen through the ranks and earned the #1 spot, even above the Mamiya RZ67, which if you know me, then you know I absolutely love that camera. I love almost everything about this setup, and I'm so glad I bought it when I did. It helped me create some amazing work that I'm really happy with, and it also helped me create some of my most viewed YouTube videos. It has skyrocketed my channel, and it has also boosted my confidence with my portfolio so much. I feel like I'm finally achieving the look that I've been trying to create for the past few years. I think I will keep this setup until it breaks, and even then I will probably repair what is broken. While the size and weight can be a pain in the ass, the results that you get make up for it 10 times over. For some reason, I've had so many people hate on me for using this setup because the Mitakon isn't sharp all over the image and because the GFX is a bit older. But I don't care if this lens can be a bit soft sometimes, or if the GFX is from 2018. I love this setup and I love the images it creates, and I don't care if people hate on me for liking this style of images or for liking this setup. Everyone has their own personal preference, and this is mine. I'm looking forward to creating a lot more work with this setup in the future, and if you like the way the images look, then I urge you to see if you can try to use it, so then, you may fall in love with this camera like I have. If you want to see more about the GFX or the Mitakon, then I have created multiple other videos and you can find them probably quite easily on my channel. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.